After I had to do those solo serious shows during COVID.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. You would bring me on as your little freak show. That's fine.
What are you talking? Oh yeah, you acted like I paraded you around, right?
Yeah, like a circus animal.
Like a freak show.
It's true.
It's just not true, man. I loved having you on. There were I'm doing that show. There were no sports even happening.
No, I know. I remember.
Some people jumped into the Korean baseball and esports. I wasn't doing it. You jumped into esports.
Yeah, more on betting than I never played DFS.
Yeah. The idea that people were getting up at 4 a.m. to set KBO lineups to me was insane.
That's a no for me, dog.
Good morning. Welcome to the Stokastic.com NFL Monday Night Football Showdown Strategy Show. Ben Rasa, my man, filling in for Matt Kajeski because there's a 11 o'clock bowl game today, huh?
It's true. Coastal Carolina and UTSA. Coastal Carolina is out of quarterbacks for you college people, so I'm very interested to see what they do because they legitimately have no one on the roster who's taken a snap. So
what's the purpose of an 11 o'clock Monday? Is it just because they can?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a good strategy. Like if you have a shitty bowl game, like put it on at a weird time. It's the only, like anyone who wants action will watch that game now.
That's true. Are there other bowl games tonight?
There's a game at 3.
Any good?
No, horrible. Fresno and Northern Illinois.
Are there bowl games tomorrow or Christmas?
Yeah, I think there are, but not important ones.
Gotcha. When are all the good ones?
On like New Year's.
Got it. And they'll just load that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, those are. It's a little messed up because of the playoff, but yeah, that's going to be stacked.
Ready to talk some football?
Talk some football.
All right, let's make it happen. Hey, good morning, fellas. Glad to have you with us. Welcome to the show. If you don't mind, take a single second out of your morning. Hopefully it's a good one. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. It goes a long way, and all of it's free to do so. It helps us feed the algorithm around here. Dude, so I was just looking at it today. I mentioned it on Sunday. I mentioned it yesterday with you, but we have NFL 6 of the next 8 days.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's too much. I can't handle it.
Why not?
It's too much. With the college, yeah, I mean, it's on one hand, it's fantastic. But man, I am really interested to see this Christmas. We're straight running it back. I don't ever remember that where we just have the slate and then we're swapping opponents and we're just running it back.
It's bizarre, but you have to because you can't have any Sunday teams playing on
Wednesday.
Yeah. Why wouldn't they have just had? Why wouldn't they you could have put some of the Thursday team. Well, no, that's also a problem because they flexed that Thursday game.
I don't even remember who was Thursday.
Chargers Broncos was flexed, and I believe originally it was supposed to be Giants Falcons.
Yeah, that's why they couldn't do it.
Right. Anyway, it's so weird. They literally just swapped them out. But hey, here's the good thing. At least they picked some good teams to do it with.
Good teams, entertaining games, better than the whatever you want to call what we have tonight. 14 and a half. I mean, my God.
I'm not big on, laying a lot of points, but I did lay 13 and a half earlier in the week on the Packers.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my lean. I'm more of with some of these situations, I'll bring it back to yesterday, like the Patriots and the Bills. We both talked about the optics were not great for laying that many points and actually came to fruition, even though the Patriots tried to not cover. This is a much more, I don't know, the Saints are just lifeless there's just a lot of bad factors here. This doesn't seem like it's going to be, this reminds me of Browns Bengals kind of, but not even divisional. So it's even worse.
And Browns had a chance had that touchdown not got called back. That could have looked because I was I told you, I bet the Bengals. I don't know if you ended up. Yeah. That could have gone poorly if they scored if that rushing touchdown counted.
Yeah, I mean, that game was incredibly stupid. Burrow was on the 1 yard line and he ended up fumbling on the 20 on the same play, which is impossible.
Honestly, though, Patriots covered easily.
Yeah, I mean that was a weird game too. But yeah, all in all, obviously I know this isn't the first look show, so we're not going like goblins or anything. But I'll give a quick shout out to how disgraceful the Cardinals are. Just what an absolute awful performance by that entire team. I honestly assumed Trey McBride got hurt, because he did nothing. I don't really understand how you go out like that. And then James Conner obviously did get hurt.
Pretty pathetic. I will say though, if you listened yesterday, that was my bet of the week. I loved the
You
Panthers in
did.
that spot.
And I'm not even surprised that it wasn't a competitive game. I was just surprised that how Arizona lost. Like,
I mean,
you
it
got
was
to be kidding
competitive. It
me.
went to overtime.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
that wasn't shocking. It was just I don't I didn't understand it, some of what I saw yesterday.
they're just not a good football team. Is the
No.
thing. They're just.
Nope.
I'd say it was actually though. So I'll give Arizona some credit, and people are going to disagree with
Nope.
this.
There's nothing you can say,
Yes,
but I want
yes,
to hear
there
this.
is. That is still a better team than they were ever anticipated coming into this year.
Yeah, they're ahead of schedule.
Like the defense, they were terrible yesterday, but the defense has stood up at times this year. They have like name two notable players on that defense.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it comes all the way back full circle where I never liked Kyler. Then there was a moment where I was like, man, this might actually work out. No, it's not.
No,
It's
it's
not.
not.
That's not the answer.
He's not the answer. James Conner, though. James Conner
Oh,
kind of
he's
is the answer.
fantastic.
Like that guy, he was kind of left for dead when he left Pittsburgh, and he's pretty good, but he's always hurt. Anyway, let's get into it. Fun game. I ran the Sims. Jordan ran the Sims. I assume you got a Sims run in as well.
Good.
Easiest way for us to kind of make this happen, at least look at some of these early results. And I got to tell you, there is one guy that I really like today. I'm just gonna kick it off here, and I'm gonna give you a fun prop today as well to start off the show. You excited for this?
I'm very excited.
It's on Bet365. All right.
Great. Don't have it, but go on.
Why not?
I mean, it's not my state. It's one of the
Oh,
if
it's in Jersey. It's not.
I
in New York.
wish.
Right.
Bet365 is fan. Not to go right into but Bet365 is awesome. If I could pick one book to put into my state, it would be them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I started off with like I was like, I started off with $40 there, and I was up to like 1750 or something last I looked.
It's a cool book, and they have great lines. And
It doesn't work with the EV tool, so like it's great because I'm not limited there yet because I don't bet any. Like Bet365 is what I use for my non-sharp bets, and it's great. Like that's my book to go. You know what I mean? That's kind of my designated book for that stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's where I wish we had just hours to talk about. Account health is one of the most underutilized things in the entire industry.
Yeah.
And that's what you're speaking to.
Well, all right. You ready for this? Christian,
yeah.
What's up?
This gnome is just like bouncing around the screen. I don't know. It was in my thing. Now it's above you.
That's old Saint Nick, brother.
Well, whatever he is, he's distracting me.
Christian Watson to record a 40+ yard reception.
Plus what?
375.
Okay. I can work with that. I've been targeting. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I just feel like the last handful of games for the Packers have been island games or short slate games because I've targeted Christian Watson a lot over the past month or so, and I do it because I mean look at the game logs. The guy is a home run threat. He's been a home run threat.
Exactly.
He just hasn't connected in the end zone on him.
Exactly. So yeah, you're thinking we're on the same page here. By the way, if you're not on Bet365 yet, don't just sign up directly. Use our link because you'll get a free month of Core NFL, $99 value. And like I said, you have football for 6 of the next 8 days coming up. Literally 6 of the next 8 days. You'll get it for free. Links down there where you see sign up with any of our partners and get a Core for free, $99 value. As many books or pick'em sites, if you're in non-legal states, as you want to sign up on, you'll get a free month for every one of them. It includes the single lineup sim. It includes the sim, ownership, player projections, top stack, boom bust, everything, Ben. So I'd say do it that way. Deposit your 10 on Bet365, bet 5, get $150 in bonus bets, and get the $99 value for Core.
100%. It's a great deal on its own, and now you're just getting some tools that you obviously see some value in for a full month. But Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that Christian Watson, both in DFS and in betting, has some utility.
I do too. I like him for DFS because I think there's a ceiling there. Um, I like him for betting because I'd rather, instead of just betting the standard prop on him or the standard long reception, just go for it, right? You've seen him 18 deep targets on the season. He's missed a game, played 13. Still, that's six more than anyone else on the team. He gets those huge bombs. The Saints have allowed more 40+ yard receptions than any other team. They're bottom 5 in explosive plays. So I just wanted to start it with Watson because he's a guy I know you key in on a lot. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons for that is that I think we're both okay with the fact that we know he could just goose egg here. And he could. Like Christian Watson could easily just give us the donut. Or you could have that game like you did against Detroit where he didn't score, but if he scores, that's a fantastic game. Or against Chicago, 4 for 150, didn't score, but again, if he scores, monster game. He has that ceiling. He also has a super low floor, but I'm all right with that. And I actually have 10% at captain right now. I won't do anything to change that.
So that was what I was going to go to, because when a guy's floor is that low, I tend to actually want to boost him as my captain, because the ceiling is what you're after for a captain. The floor is irrelevant. Like if you have Christian Watson in your flex and he has one catch, you're in trouble. If you have him in captain and he has one catch, you're in trouble. It's not like, oh, thank God I played him at flex. The move would have been not to play him at all. So for me,
that's a great point. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
dead regardless.
You're dead regardless. So you might as well fully leverage it, because if you catch a 60-yard touchdown, you're not going to be saying, thank God I played him at flex. You're probably going to be saying, man, he's an aggressive captain at low ownership. So to me, that's the type of guy that fits that profile. It doesn't have to be across the board, of course, but I will look to him as a captain, and I would guess isn't amongst the most popular tonight.
It's funny you'd say that because he's my third highest exposed captain, but I only have 18% at flex. This is falling into exactly what you just pointed out.
Yeah. I really do advocate for that, because you just have to play it out. Like if you're going to lose, whether you come in last in the tournament or the bottom 20% or bottom 50, it doesn't matter. So yeah, you're going to look real dumb with a guy at captain who gets 4, but it's not going to change it if he's got, 3 in your flex spot. So for me, I'm going to embrace that. And I do think you mentioned the Saints, they're leaking oil all over. Their team is just it's nothing. It's a mess right now across the board.
Where does Jaden Reed fall into the conversation then? Because to some extent, Jaden Reed isn't all that dissimilar from Christian Watson. I know we've had people in chat kind of berate us for this take at times, but we're not pulling things out of thin air. You're just looking at the involvement and the way that this offense is run. Jordan Love hasn't attempted 30 pass attempts since week 9 in that loss to the Lions, right? If they can, they're perfectly content running the football, which is why I have as much Josh Jacobs as I do today, and I'm fine with it. But it isn't like, I don't know how truly dissimilar Christian Watson is to Jaden Reed. Even if you look at them this season, Jaden Reed has 10 red zone targets. Christian Watson has 8. They're not even that far off. It seems like Jaden Reed would have a lot more, probably because, he recently had a 2-touchdown game on a primetime spot against Miami. I think that was the Thanksgiving night game, right?
Yeah, it was.
Right. So obviously everyone's going to remember that. And he does have 4 more than Watson on the year. But Watson, when you look at his value of targets, it hasn't been that far off from Reed. Now, I'm definitely getting to Reed, but I'm getting to more Watson at captain, and I'm getting to more Reed at flex today.
Yeah, I mean, Reed's been a tough evaluation all year, because, again, there was a time where it was pretty clear to everyone that he was like the number 1 wide receiver, and then you quickly saw that the volume didn't back that up whatsoever. He is in line with most of these guys, getting a handful of targets. Yeah, he's got a couple of rushing attempts per game here and there, but the difference to me when you talk about these guys is that Jaden Reed on a macro level, his targets are more convertible. Like if there are games where Watson has like 8 targets and he has 1 catch, because the A dot on the targets is so big. Jaden Reed, they're bubble screens, they're getting him the ball in space, and he can break explosive plays, but there's a much higher chance that he has off 6 targets, 4 or 5 receptions. And you just saw that against Seattle. He had 6 targets. He had 5 catches for 34 yards. Not what you're looking for, but at the same time, he is building you a floor with these receptions with full point PPR.
He definitely is. But how high is that floor at 9? Like, I don't know how much of a floor I care about at 9K in the flex.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to need him to break one or get these red zone targets, and he's shown he could do that. I mean, Miami is a perfect encapsulation. I was heavily invested on him in that game. He only had 3 catches. He just happened to score twice, and they're both in the first half. He did nothing in the second half. The other thing you have to ask yourself is if slash I'll say when the Packers are just absolutely demolishing this team, what exactly does this offense look like? Is it just a full gear down like the Colts yesterday, or will they continue to get guys like Reed the ball?
I was genuinely wondering if it becomes like more Chris Brooks and Emmanuel Wilson.
That's what I mean. I mean, you saw that yesterday. I was watching the game intently, and the Colts, first of all, they almost blew the game by doing this. But
I know.
they're just morons. They should not have done that. They just basically said, okay,
like, are people never going to learn from the Jaguars against the Patriots? Remember we were in California together watching that game, and sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
No, not at all. Take it.
I'm just saying that when will teams learn that when you downshift in the fourth quarter, these teams aren't just waving the white flag. If they can move the football, they're going to try and score points. I don't understand that. I'm not saying you should be, 80-20 pass run in a spot like that, but just play the same brand. That's why I have no problem with what Dan Campbell does. Keep your foot on the gas until there's zeros left on the clock in the fourth.
I mean,
I'm not saying run trick plays.
Yeah, they wasted the best play I've ever seen yesterday for no reason.
Wait. The fake trip and fall.
You have that.
Did you see that? That the one?
Yeah, I saw it up 2 touchdowns against the Bears.
I don't care, dude. That play was awesome. Like,
I know, but why? What are you
right.
doing?
Wait for the playoffs. Wait for the playoffs. But it was so great. Gibbs and Goff pretended to fall.
They're amazing. They are innovating.
It's awesome.
Yeah, no, but getting back to this, I saw the Colts, Trey Sermon had a drive. Goodson had a drive. They were just trying to melt the clock away. And we've seen, I mean, in the last Packers game, I don't have it in front of me, but I was watching intently. Josh Jacobs started the game. He had like 10 straight touches. And, they're going to give him obviously all that he can handle. But once it gets out of control, Brooks and Wilson, I do think could just salt this game away. And if I looked back and a guy like, Jordan Love had, 20 attempts in this game, I wouldn't be stunned.
Me neither. But that's kind of why I lean Watson, because if it's a low volume game,
yep,
right? Like you play for a couple. Now, can Reed do that? Sure. Reed can break him. We've seen him do it this year. This isn't me saying I don't want Jaden Reed. It's just I prioritize Watson more in the captain spot than Jaden Reed this week. That's all. Pretty much where I'm at in this spot. I have 5% Reed at captain. I have 10% Watson. I do have a little bit more Reed. I'm with the field in the flex spot for Reed, and I'm a little bit under on Watson. With the other pass catchers, though, it's tough. I would say this about Tucker Kraft. The guy's involved in the red zone. Like he has actually been the primary target in the red zone this season. $5,800. But again, Ben, this goes back to your original point, what we've been talking about. Tucker Kraft could very easily have a 3 for 28 or a 2 for 15 and a touchdown type of game. We've seen that so often this season. Actually, I'll look at this. Go back to week 5. 4 for 88. That's a nice game. But he also had that long 66-yard touchdown late in the game. 2 touchdowns. Week 7, 3 for 33 and a touchdown. Week 8, 3 for 78 with a 67-yard catch and run with a touchdown. Week 12, 2 for 15 with a touchdown. And week 14, 3 for 41 and a touchdown. This guy, week over week, like he may have the outlier 6 or 7 target game, but you're really banking like 3 to 5 targets from Kraft, and you need to get him into the end zone. And this isn't unique to Tucker Kraft. This is the Green Bay passing offense. This is what they are.
Yeah, because there's not enough volume. So the touchdown, I mean, if you isolated the percentage of total points that came from the actual touchdown of these guys, they would be off the charts, not in a good way. Um,
But it's not just that they don't have enough volume, because if you were to look at a low volume passing team with the Eagles, you still know AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are like combined 58% target share.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a two-pronged issue. And even if you look at the splits, you know, the Packers have four wide receivers that do things. Tucker Kraft does things, and then Josh Jacobs obviously is involved as well. So you have no hierarchy of prioritization, whereas some of these teams, yeah, they don't have a lot of throwing, a lot of passing volume, but you know, okay, well, this guy's going to get, of the 20 attempts, my guy's going to have a 40% target share, and that'll be enough to keep him in the conversation. It's not like that in Green Bay.
Right. Yeah, you're right. Like that's what I mean. I think run pass percentage to me is overrated in the sense that if you don't provide context to it, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
If you have a team that throws on average 28 times per game, but they have an AJ Brown, it matters a lot less than a team that throws 28 times per game and everyone has a 13% target share. Or if you have a team that throws 40 times per game and they don't have a clear bona fide number one, but he still averages like 9 targets per game because of the volume, then it doesn't really matter.
100%. There's multiple ways to be wildly effective. It's just the Packers seem to have multiple issues. And again, it only takes a couple. And that is why we both think Christian Watson's in a little more of an advantageous position. But listen, you look at the team totals and you look at the game, I think we all recognize the majority of touchdown equity is coming on this side, and the Packers might have 4 or 5 touchdowns to go around tonight.
Absolutely. And also, if you were to take a peek at Josh Jacobs' touchdown prop today, it's preposterous. It's minus 300 on FanDuel. If you wanted to grab Josh Jacobs, this may be the worst bet of the year.
What,
Josh
2
Jacobs,
touchdowns?
what?
2 touchdowns?
What do you think it is on Caesars? I'll give you the shortest odds.
Plus 115.
Plus 145. But still, that's just awful value.
Yeah, it's bad.
Plus, but from a DFS perspective, that tells you a lot. And we're not betting this. We're talking DFS. Josh Jacobs is super expensive, but he's not egregious. I mean, I've seen Christian McCaffrey at 20,000 in the captain spot, 21,000 in the captain spot. Clearly, he's more, he has a more diverse skill set than Josh Jacobs, right? But at the same time, Jacobs is just getting go whatever you like to use for statistics. Go and look at Josh Jacobs' share of goal line attempts this year in Green Bay. There's no one else. It's like 94% of goal line attempts among all running backs, right? Excluding Jordan Love, have gone to Josh Jacobs. It's an insane number. This is a guy who had one touchdown through week 6, right? And from week 7 forward, he has what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A ton. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 since week 7. And the Saints rank dead last in run defense this year.
I mean, do you consider just locking him? And just saying, you know what, I'm just going to build, 5-man rosters, some captain, some flex, but every single roster, just on a raw points perspective, is going to need him.
So I don't think I'm going to need to lock him, and I'll tell you why. I have 53% at captain right now and 44% at flex. So I am essentially at 100%.
You basically did lock him
without doing anything.
Yeah.
If I locked him, I'd get what, 3 more Josh Jacobs lineups out of 150?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, a handful more.
But I am, or I should say I'm not entirely opposed. I want to get your thoughts here because this kind of sucks. If they only had one backup running back, I'd be so much more inclined to kind of pursue this. If we didn't have to guess between Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks, I think I would actually have plenty interest in Josh Jacobs plus backup running back, insert name here. But
Definitely.
I hate trying to figure out if it's going to be Brooks or Wilson. I know Brooks played more snaps last week, but Emmanuel Wilson actually had more carries despite only seeing 6 snaps.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one where you can do that. It's just the only real path, because it feels like a pretty low scoring game in terms of total fantasy points. To me, the only realistic path for Josh Jacobs not to get there is that he could get hurt, and anyone could get hurt. And that is not insignificant, but it feels like even in a bad output, raw points, I'm not sure that you're not going to really, there's just not enough pivots in my mind. So it's not breaking any news. We all know that Josh Jacobs is an amazing play. It just feels like even in bad runouts for him, he probably factors into the flex.
I think so. I have no, I obviously, like I'm saying,
yeah, you're basically doing it without doing it.
Exactly. I think Brooks though is the guy over Wilson. I don't really have any other thoughts regarding that. I'm just wondering, like, if this game does get out of hand, does Wilson come in and it's like, oh, well, that sucks. We needed Brooks. Or does Brooks just get mixed in? Here's another thing that I was thinking about. And by the way, Emmanuel Wilson had 3 carries last game, but they were up 30-13, and 2 of them came on the final drive of the game, which was just what was it? Yeah, it was a 3 and out, Ben. And 2 of those came on that. So that kind of tells you something, that they put him in to ice the game away, but that doesn't help us because they're 14.5-point favorites tonight.
Yeah, again, we might be seeing some of that. And I agree. I think that it would be Brooks getting sprinkled in throughout the game, but maybe not in garbage time. It's hard to plan. You know, if you're building some stuff, you can plan for that, work backwards. Like, okay, if the Packers win 35-3, how does that look? You can do that for same game parlays as well. So yeah, I get it. I just honestly, it's not a situation I'm really gonna dig too much into. I may attach running backs to Jacobs. I'm not opposed to it, but obviously in a normal game script, it seems unlikely they factor in.
Okay, so I do have one kind of caveat here. I think you'll appreciate this even if you disagree with this line of thinking, right? We know that there are a lot of like intangibles as far as how games play out. They have Minnesota in Minnesota next week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's crazy to think that there are plenty of teams out there that have this forward, they like go into forward thinking mode. And I'm not saying that they're just going to come out flat. They're a really well coached team. They're at home in Lambeau where they have a clear advantage. But I don't think it's out of the question to think that it might just, like, Josh Jacobs has a rushing attempt prop of 20.5. I just wouldn't touch it because it still feels like one of those games where if there were ever a spot to maybe keep the mileage down a little bit before you head into a massive divisional showdown next week, this would be it. And I think I could be wrong. Hold on. Let me see what the Vikings schedule is.
Well, they have the Lions at the last game of the year for sure.
Exactly. So the Packers have, I think, the Bears to close out the year.
Probably. I think the last game's always all
divisional game. So it would have to be the Bears. It's the Bears in Lambeau. So you see what I'm getting at here, right? Like there is something to that, especially if you're building showdown lineups against hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, it's just one of these things that's going to be interesting. You know, Jacobs could get so much work early, and I do agree they will ease up slightly faster if they have to. But at the same time, Jacobs could have like 16 carries in the first half and then, 5 in the second half, something like that. And he probably still gets there. So I get it. It's just, they're not going to, it's still the NFL. And I know it feels impossible. And there is no chance you're going to get me to say on camera that I think the Saints are going to win the game because I don't think that. But it's it's the NFL and weird stuff happens, and this game could be really competitive. It just happens.
Yep. To be clear though, what I'm saying also is that I think the Jacobs plus Brooks path in the same lineup gets you a little bit different. And I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe just mix them in throughout the game more than they typically would. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it necessarily needs to even be a massive blowout. I could just see Brooks or maybe Wilson, but I would think Brooks getting a little bit more work than he normally does
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
and playing him with Jacobs. I'm not opposed to it. I have 10% Brooks right now, which means naturally, if I have that much Jacobs, I have those lineups without doing anything.
Yeah, and again, I think that's because Jacobs is so far and away, an incredible play that the bad correlation doesn't even matter. It's like the Brooks is independent of Jacobs because he's going to get his.
Mike Bass said, I ran a sim earlier. I assume you're talking about the single lineup sim, right, Mike? And hit 240 ROI on a 5-1 build. Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a monster.
Yeah, the 5-1s.
I'd plug that in for sure.
5-1 Saint. Now that will be unique.
Let me see if I'm getting any. Jordan, go to lineups. Are we getting any 5-1 Saints? That's okay.
I like to do that in these type of games, but I'm just not sure I can do it here.
Here's one. This actually makes sense. All right. This is why I love the Sims, man, because they give you things you're not going to think of. Jacobs captain.
Yeah,
right?
with 5.
With Juwan Johnson, Kendre Miller, MVS, Saints, and Spencer Rattler. So basically, this could actually be a 5-1 onslaught Saints where they still play from behind and the Packers don't pass. Jacobs has a few big runs and touchdowns, still is the optimal captain. And the Saints are in come from behind mode for like 45 of 60 minutes in the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to that. Typically, if I was going to do something like that, I'd actually run Jacobs captain with the Packers defense and then a 4-man Saints stack. Just thinking that the reason that the Packers offense is so mutilated is that the defense keeps scoring or setting up Jacobs for like 1-yard touchdowns. So Love and the pass catchers are completely immobilized. You need Jacobs at captain. The Packers defense is boxing out the rest, but you want the 4-man Saints stack because they're just constantly on the field.
I like that. I wonder how that would look in the single lineup sim.
Some of those things, obviously, you have to take with a grain of salt because the raw projection on something like that is lower. It's like, yesterday, I was building out my lineups, and when you didn't use Gibbs, it was, because he graded out so well. So even with those, if I'm in the ballpark, I'll roll them in large fields.
I actually don't mind what you're saying. Now, are you truly threading a needle? Yes.
Yeah. But when are you not in
isn't
showdown?
That every showdown slate?
Yeah. I mean, you need literally the perfect game script to happen. You need weird stuff. But the number one question I ask myself with showdown every time is, if I get incredibly lucky, what would happen? And if I get incredibly lucky and I have a 5-man onslaught that are Packers with a Saints bring back, I may cash and I may have a good lineup, but then it's going to be impossible. I'll say this. I bet it's actually impossible to have a unique 5-1 Packers onslaught tonight.
I was thinking the same thing.
How are you going to do that?
I don't actually know.
And dupes are at some point unavoidable if it's a really good lineup, but at the same time, the equity you have when you limit your dupes is massive.
Hey, by the way, I'm running one right now. I think it would actually be, I think it would be great if you could get Kendre Miller in there. The problem is the Packers defense is so expensive that going 5-4-2 with the defense and Josh Jacobs at captain essentially boxes you out of everything if you wanted to go Rattler and MVS. It basically boxes you out of everything.
Yeah. And then it gets tricky because when you do those things, you don't have enough permutations. Every single person that uses Jacobs and the Packers defense, they're pulling from a 4v4 pool that doesn't have enough combinations.
Exactly. So it makes it difficult. Although I think the way to do it would just be to get away from a Juwan Johnson and go with like a Dante Pettis or something. All right. I just got a positive sim. I just got one. It's not a lot, but Ben, I went Josh Jacobs and Packers with Rattler, Kendre Miller, MVS, and Dante Pettis, it was positive.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to get the random Saints wide receiver right, or find some type of weird, just not that much. Who the hell is Messiah Swinson? That's not a real person. You ever hear of that guy?
No, I haven't heard of that guy.
Messiah Swinson.
I'm sure Gajeski would have.
Messiah Swinson, let's say. He went to Arizona State. Yeah, no, can't say I know him. But yeah, obviously if you're fishing at the bottom, there's going to be random names. You just got to get lucky.
Jordan, run me a single lineup sim. I have an idea, and I'm not gonna run it yet. I want to keep it, for this. Go large field 15% to first. Ben, I think I figured out the build you're trying to do. Like, I think I figured out at least as good as you're gonna get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so go DraftKings, go Jacobs, captain, and then Packers. They're 6,200. This might be the first week that I've seen Packers or a defense above the dead zone, which is the backup quarterback range. I'm not sure I've seen a $6,200 defense on prime.
Yeah, that is pretty premium.
Then go Juwan Johnson. Then Spencer Rattler. Then Kendre Miller. Then Kevin Austin. I like doing these shows with you because you start to think differently, Ben.
And you got what, 800 left?
You got 800 left. So it's an MVS fade. Getting down to Juwan Johnson gets you up to like a Kevin Austin and makes it doable. It should be positive.
Now you want to get, yeah, there you go.
That's not bad.
You want to get extremely crazy because that makes sense of the MVS leverage. To me, the next level of insane would be to kick out Austin and put in Foster Moreau.
Oh, okay.
Double tight end on the same team with Rattler and Kendre Miller.
Double tight end on a team that also doesn't really have any wide receivers anyway.
They don't have any weapons anyway, and you're just trying to get extremely lucky anyway with the touchdown variance. So, like, again, you're probably you're taking on even more and more risk, but you're getting wilder because no one in their right mind is like, you know what? Let me click the second tight end after I just clicked Juwan Johnson.
For sure. I mean, that's super mega mind genius play.
Yeah. Again, I'm thinking of the largest tournaments of like, what can I do to be different, but also not be different in the sense of like, okay, I just need some guy that plays 4 snaps to catch 2 touchdowns. Like, no, Foster Moreau played 64% of snaps and Juwan Johnson played 73% of snaps. They're going to be out there at least.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like is that they do in some sense cannibalize each other.
100%. But everybody knows that.
For sure. The reason I say it's super mega mind genius is I'm not sure how insane. I already think that Jacobs plus Packers plus a 4-man Saints stack is getting pretty wild. Like that's still mega mind genius.
Yeah. Again, you don't need to take on, it's just within these permutations, you could go double Saints kicker. One day we're going to see a 3 kicker showdown lineup win, and then they're just going to shut down the site. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear that you're going to take one of Juwan Johnson or MVS, and then depending on what you do from there to build your stain stack. Yeah, but these are all unique by nature because the majority of lineups in any tournament are going to be Packers 4, 5, and 3 at minimum in terms of number of Packers.
The stumble bum, by the way, is what they named the play on the Lions.
Yeah, a great play. I mean, they just wasted it.
This is crazy though. It was inspired by a play Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for the Lions,
future Bears coach,
of Jordan Love actually dropping the snap versus Chicago and pulling off a big pass against the same team. That's crazy. Anyway, I like this this is what's fun about this strategy show. We can work through some things here, and that's helpful to see what can actually work. I want to build out a 5-1 Packers with you too and see how duped we think this is going to look. Before we do though, Einsteinium asks, how much 12 personnel do we see Laffy with Musgrave back? Is he officially back? Last I saw was that LaFleur said he could be back. If you saw something and I missed it, let me know. I would also say that I don't think it's going to be a ton. Like they already have a massive amount of rotated receivers. Musgrave was already not playing a ton before he got hurt. He hasn't played since week 5. So I wouldn't guess it's an exorbitant amount.
No, I'm sorry. I was reading about some of these random players. Alex Magoo.
Oh yeah, Magoo. Oh Magoo.
Used to play quarterback.
There's some fun ones here. Hey, is the portfolio EV sale still going? The gift EV?
So it's going. I believe you have 2 days left. We wanted to run it right through Christmas. So pretty simple. I know a lot of you have already done this, but I wanted to talk about this anyway, so it's perfect timing. It's gift EV. And what we wanted to do, we have run some really cool flash sales in the past. You get a week, you get in there, and the feedback we got was, this is awesome. By the time I got up to speed, I made my portfolios, I started betting. Only a couple days left, and a lot of people stuck with us. So we said, you know what? Let's give people a full month with the best time of the year. You mentioned football like every day. Bowl season is going on. If you have college props in your state, I saw the results yesterday. It's like 16% ROI. NBA and NHL is every single night. So we said, let's just give people a full month at a really affordable price. You're talking about a little over $1 a day. And then you get the full experience. And then you can decide if you want to make this a part of your process going forward. So it's really as simple as that can be. We wanted to give back and say, if you try this product for a month, you use the portfolios, and you build out what you're doing, I can honestly confidently say you're going to make money. I really can. You can make money every day at every second, definitely not. But the results, they're there. The EV results tool is embedded into this. We wanted the transparency of every single bet. And we have built out tools to change the way you bet, the ability to mass enter and enter 20 bets in 10 seconds and not have to slave over every single bet. Let me check the injury report. Is he in? Is he out? Don't worry about any of that stuff. Just put in the plus EV bets and watch your bankroll incrementally grow day after day. So if that sounds interesting to you, and for the holidays, you're saying I could use some extra cash, maybe to play a little more DFS, maybe just to have, the link is there. The promo is there. And come join us. You get in our Discord and you'll be up to speed in no time.
I'm not saying, gift EV at checkout, by the way,
Yep.
all one word, 50% off. Matt, I'm not saying you're going to win every day, but the last week, which is crazy because like with the whole cup, the stupid NBA cup and everything, and
there was like one game.
NHL schedules, mine is plus 700, plus 50, plus 118, plus 800, minus 96, plus 300, plus 300. And I already have 5,200 down today. I have 100 bets down today already. I woke up to take a piss at 3 a.m, Ben, and I pulled it up because I don't set alarms to wake up. I'm not that crazy. But if you wake up in the middle of the night, you can't go back to bed, and you have portfolio EV, I'm not kidding. Pull up your phone and start jamming them. That is when the best ones are out there on sites like FanDuel and Caesars where it's tough to get them. I got like 30 bets down at 3 a.m. and then just went back to bed. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You're just grinding small edges in the markets. I look at it so much differently than DFS. I look at it similarly because we have the mass entry tool, and I have 100 bets down. It's 11. I literally have 100 bets on the dot. It's 11 o'clock in the morning. I could never do that elsewhere. And I know that, like, I was looking through my bet tracker. We have a bet tracker on portfolio EV where you can see all the line movement on every bet you placed. It's like 93% I have the odds have shifted in my favor so far. It's nuts.
It's huge. And like I just said, I just want to be clear about what we got going on here. When you sign up with that promo, you get a full month. This is going to run out in a couple of days. So if you want to take advantage of it, it's, we wanted to give back for the holidays. But it's just a great offer. It really is. And I'm super excited about it. The whole team is. So, these things don't come around that often. We want to make sure people have opportunities to check this stuff out and you get that nice runway. I'm all for quick sales and whatnot, but sometimes you try something for 24 hours or 48 hours, you don't get a great feel of what it's about. When you get a full month to really immerse yourself in the tool you get a pretty fair test, and I'm really confident people will love it.
Damn right. And guess what? 14 NBA games today, 13 NHL games today. Can't beat it. Link down there in the description. And if you guys ever have questions, please, DMs are open for me. Ben's always in Discord. Hit us up. And we have a full tutorial catalog now with everything that you can watch. You're going to love it.
Yep.
I'm telling you,
Yep.
you're going to love it. All right. I don't have any real thoughts on pass catchers for the Saints outside of this. MVS should play. He's still their number one. And I think that's fair to say. Outside of MVS, you just get into this range of guys who are, they're just guys, right? I don't think I'm saying anything crazy. They're just kind of guys who are there that you're going to get some of. Juwan Johnson, you would have thought that his role would have expanded significantly. It hasn't really. Dante Pettis, he's really cheap. He's $1,000. That is fine. Kevin Austin is another one. This is a flat out, same with Foster Moreau, mix and match situation for me. Right now, the one I'd have the most of would, believe it or not, be Juwan Johnson. But I'm just mixing matching. And I do think without Alvin Kamara, knowing that Kendre Miller's a guy that they spent decent draft capital on, what was he, a 3rd round pick, right?
Third round pick. I mean, he's a good player. Yeah, for sure.
And they know what they have in Jamal Williams. They don't really want to use Jamal Williams. Even though it's a tough spot, I do still have quite a bit of interest in Kendre Miller as well.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. The thing that I found pretty interesting, and it has held this way basically all season, dating back to when a lot more guys were healthy, the Saints have 4 wide receivers that see the field. And that's, they don't sprinkle in like, let's give a guy like 6 snaps or 8 snaps. And I don't know. To me, that's kind of interesting on a team that's a complete mess. Like, they've got 4 dudes out there, and that's about it. Like, this Tipton character, he's been inactive and not factoring in at all, obviously, because he's not active. And it's just like, as random as they are, MVS and Austin, Pettis and Wilson, you roll the dice on those 4, but it looks like the rest of these guys will be straight non-factors because that's just not how they're running the offense.
Yeah, and how much has actually changed? Olave's not coming back. We already know that. Olave's not returning this week. I don't know why you'd bring him back at all. Yeah, you're right. Austin, Pettis. I mean, Austin and MVS are the ones seeing the most snaps, and then it's Wilson and Pettis. And you mentioned you're seeing like 40% overlap on snaps between Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson.
Yeah, it's just like, I'll use the Packers as another example. If you look at snap counts by week, the Packers have had, 5, 6, 7 weeks where 6 wide receivers got on the field. A couple guys got a couple snaps, but it just factors in. The Saints, for being a complete mess, actually have a pretty tight rotation. The problem is the chances that like Pettis outscores MVS is not as low as you think because it's all in flux. Like, it's
damn right. Yeah. And MVS relies on those deep balls from Spencer Rattler.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's all, and I will say the Saints should be in a slightly better position tonight because at least they're not going to waste the third of the game on Jake Haener. So that was,
yep. That's a good point.
That was not
last game too. Alvin Kamara played 45% of snaps. Kendre Miller played 47. So Kamara played 25 snaps. Kendre Miller played 26. Miller was only targeted once, but he ran 14 routes and Kamara ran 16 routes and 25 plus snaps. Kendre Miller ran 14 and 26. So while he's nowhere close to what you would ever expect in production in the passing game to Alvin Kamara, I have no doubt that they'll still look to use him. He's still going to be out there on those plays. It's really all that matters.
Oh yeah. I mean, Kendre Miller makes a ton of sense to me tonight. It's just, he's going to get volume. I just worry. I mean, he's got decimal back equity. He's got all sorts of problems because it just might not work.
Yeah. It might not. But also, I still think he's the best play for the Saints.
I would agree. Or him and Juwan Johnson are the 2 Saints that I would most actively like to target.
Yeah. I actually have more Rattler at flex than those guys, but that just always happens with the Sims. Like I always land on on more of a kind of cheap quarterback because you can. And Rattler's not a particularly good rushing quarterback. You know, this isn't a guy that's known for his elite
He can move a little
mobility.
though.
What?
Yeah, no, but he's not a
He can move
zero
a little.
either.
Right. Like in those two starts in week 6 and 7, he had three, but in week 6 and 7, he had 4 for 27, 5 for 34. You can deal with that.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna entertain, and I'm just thinking out loud. That's why I like doing these shows, particularly in the morning. Maybe I'll go Rattler, Kendre Miller, no pass catchers, and hope that maybe it's a dump. You know, maybe they don't have a lot of production. Rattler gives you some cheap production, and he connects with Kendre Miller once.
Or Kendre Miller gets there and Rattler gets there, but it's just because he spread the ball around a ton. But the problem with that is that the Saints receivers are so
They're so
cheap that
cheap.
if a Dante Pettis scores at 1K, you're going to want that connection.
Yeah, you need it to work salary wise, where the Packers have box outs at some of the same positions. And what you would probably need is some type of, but again, this could, weird stuff happens. You get pass interference in the end zone and Rattler sneaks it in. Like you just need a weird situation to change the dynamic where Rattler somehow gets there a little more on raw points and the Saints wide receivers don't. I would say that's, again, way more extreme. You know, if you want to build very generic lineups, that's not what you're going to do.
All right. Anyone else you want to talk about?
What do you want to do with the kickers?
Okay, so and by the way, yes, the Packers are expensive, the defense, but I think Packers defense is still very much in play.
Captain?
I don't have any at captain right now. And that's likely just because of that price point. It's a little prohibitive, but I'm not 100% opposed to it, actually.
I was building a bunch, sure, but I'm not really interested in that, to be honest.
I have 0 in 150 right now. I have 25% at flex. Would you play any Saints, D?
I mean, you can always do that just because you can always do that. But the problem with that is that the Packers are going to probably employ a really low variance style. If they can force Love to somehow throw, I would love that because he makes mistakes. But more than likely, it's just going to be a very controlled game. Not to mention that fair assumption that Rattler gives them at least one miserable situation. Like your defense, if your offense sucks, like it's not their fault when the other team starts on the 5-yard line.
True.
Like,
yeah, right. They're going to put him in some pretty fortuitous
it's
spots.
so hard.
Kickers. I have a ton of Brandon McManus right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about the weather. It's going to be 31 degrees. It looks like they're not going to have any precipitation. And the wind is like 5 miles per hour. So it's just, to me, that's a total non-factor. Well, yes, obviously the cold weather kills the ball a little bit. We saw that with Jake Elliott yesterday on a long one where he was short, but that's Jake Elliott. He stunk on those all year. But it's not going to prevent me from getting here. I'll tell you that much.
It's not ideal when you kick outdoors in the winter, obviously, but I don't think it's a non-factor. Look at my alarm's going on. Yeah.
What?
It's reminding me to
Get done the show?
I don't know. I just, when I set an alarm, I never turn it off ever. So then I just have like,
got it.
I just have like random alarm like that. I'm sure like a month ago at 11:15, I had something to do. So now it's just like,
let's build a lineup. We already built one. That was actually a fun build. Should we try the Packers 5-1 and just see what it looks like?
sure.
Because you said, though, it
in
could
that.
be tough to build these and get different, right?
It's going to be because this is like, there's always a balance. This makes more sense. If it makes more sense, people are going to do it.
I'm looking at the Sims now, and I just sorted by most duped lineups and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 8 are Green Bay 5-1s.
This is what I'm talking about. So at what cost? Like, you could build a sweet lineup with 300 of your friends, and you could win, and you win like $3,000.
Here's the crazy thing, though. 6 of them are 70+% simmed ROI.
But Yeah, that's a weird balancing act because again, I'm sure projections why they grade out the best, but man, you start to really slash those numbers.
All right, let's try it. The first thing I would do is if I wanted to get not different, but you
Watson
know
at captain.
what?
I'm sorry to jump in. To me, Watson at captain
Bingo.
has to be the 5-1.
It's
It just
exactly
has
what
to
I
be.
was gonna say. Just the Jacobs at captain with what's his projected ownership at captain. Jordan, do you have the top single game in stacks tool pulled up? Can you pull can you pull it up? I just want to see
We have him at
what
8%.
what's that?
8%.
Jacobs is 8? No.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for Christian Watson captain.
Oh, I was wondering what Jacobs captain ownership looks like.
Oh, I have that.
Oh wait, we have it right here. Never mind. We have it in the Sims tool. I forgot we have this
Yeah,
beautiful.
that's what I'm looking at.
I forgot we added projected. We have Jacobs 37% at captain.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And 8% Watson. All right. So that immediately gets us a little bit different, right? And if you guys, if you're using the Sims tool, on that projections tab, you can see all of that, right? Like the projection, we have the value now that we added, ownership, projected captain ownership, all of that good stuff. It's huge. So go Watson captain. You
Cool.
kind of just have to throw Jacobs in here.
Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be tough.
I mean, if you went Brooks without Love, do you think that would sim out negatively?
Yeah. Only because if like there is no chance that Watson gets there on volume, so like Love inherently starts with like 10.
I know. I know.
Like Jaden Reed at captain with no Love, I think you could say okay because Jaden Reed might get like somehow 8 targets and have 8 catches for 40 yards. And he like runs one in. But Christian Watson by definition at captain, he has to catch like a 50-yard touchdown probably. And a 50-yard touchdown is a 6-point play for Jordan Love as well.
All right, so we have Watson, we have Jacobs. By the way, Sims, we're still running it. If you wanted the Sims Max for through the entire Super Bowl, so everything, 179. Normally it's $200 a month. You're getting it for essentially 2 full months for less than the price of 1 month, and that's Sims Max, where you can sim up to 10,000 lineups. Every single tool for NFL, every single one. It's the one Ben and I use every day. It's the highest tier we have. Link is down there. Use the promo code CELEBRATE at checkout. Man, we got some good stuff this Christmas. I mean, pick your poison. But for the serious players out there that are looking for a way in to save the most amount of money, this is hands down the way to do it. And like I said, you got football 6 of the next 8 days. Wild card week, you have football on 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. All that good stuff. So 179 if you wanted to take that route instead. Watson, Jacobs. I'm just gonna throw Jordan Love in there then.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to.
All right. Then I'm gonna go McManus.
Yeah, you probably have the lineup that's on my screen.
Well, I don't know. Are you what you have 5,300 per player remaining. What was your angle here?
I went Melton and Kendre.
I think that actually makes a decent amount of sense. Run it with yeah, Jordan's running that. But I wonder what happens if you were to run it with like Dontavian Wicks and Valdez Scantling. Which one looks better?
So I think all in all, if you want the highest simulated ROI, my guess would be that it would be Juwan Johnson and the Packers defense.
Oh.
But that lineup is going to be duped for sure a lot. I do like the look of that lineup. That was what I originally had in there.
And it zeroes out.
That's a killer. I mean, it's going to grade out really well. There's no doubt about it. Well, maybe it won't. What do I know? But I think it will grade out well. And there it is. Yeah, it does.
Yep. Absolutely. That's a good, that is the combo probably. Like when you're talking about the best Christian Watson lineup, but you could also go Watson, Love, Jacobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
With McManus, Reed, and then punt to Dante Pettis. I bet that would actually come out better.
That I see. I like that
So do
more.
I. I actually like that a lot. Punt with a 1K Pettis.
Yeah, that's a cool lineup.
Because
It
really, at this point, with the pass catchers for New Orleans, like you said, just pick one of. Is that the lineup I just said, Jordan? Okay, so they both grade out okay.
This is gonna be one of these weird showdowns. This happens once in a blue moon. That there's a very real chance that you will be trying to root against Jacobs even if you rostered him, if you put him in the flex. It's kind of crazy.
So, like you're saying, Jacobs in the flex could be
He
minus
could.
EV in
No,
the.
I'm just saying that you when the slate locks, he may be a villain to you even if you played him because you're going to be in tournaments with so much Jacobs captain that you'll actually be willing to sacrifice your flex spot to kill the captain,
You're right.
which is nuts. More small fields than tournaments because in tournaments he won't be 100% owned, but I bet in small fields he could be 100% owned. And then if he's 100% owned, that just means if you don't have him at you would want him to get zero.
Yeah. Yeah, it's those times where like he scores and you think it's good
Yeah,
because you
you
have him
just
at flex
lose
and you just fell out of the money.
100% because you
Yeah.
you can't gain points, you can only lose points.
Good show, man. This was fun. I'm glad you could join me.
Me too. Thanks for having me on, everybody. I know it's a little different, but I love talking this type of stuff again. So if you have any questions on anything, you see our handles there, obviously Lofty_D. His DMs are open, mine are not, but I'm happy to help. Just shoot me a tweet, Jazzraz Bats.
Well, also you're always in Discord helping out though. So like
Always in
that's
Discord.
yeah, for sure.
Always.
You can always hit us up. You and Gajeski tomorrow first look. That should be a good one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh,
he
nice.
just said he can fill in. So
Oh, well, there we go. Yeah, we'll go. We're going to be going back to back because me and Gajeski do betting you. We'll be talking about the college football playoff, and then we'll be talking about a little NFL. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow. So I won't wish everybody happy holidays just yet, but happy holidays nonetheless.
yeah, man. Merry Christmas to you guys. I don't think I'll be back until Thursday. I don't know. I'll have stuff on Odd Shopper. It's already out now. Picks for tonight's game, and a bunch of other stuff. I'll have picks for every game coming out tomorrow morning. I'm going to try and do that tonight. But hey, if we don't talk, have a great Christmas. Stay safe, and we'll see you back here after the holiday. Peace.